Under the title, Apocalyptic News of Fatima, the Italian journalist Antonio Socci informs about an extraordinary apparition of the Virgin Mary to Sister Lucia dos Santos, the surviving witness of Fatima, which took place in 1944 but that was only known about recently. It is a complement of the increasingly current prophecies of Fatima and, by a providential coincidence, comes to light precisely when global events appear to be close to the end that those prophecies foretell. How the apparition was made known. Due to the importance of the subject, we have searched for the proper source of that information, a manuscript revealed last year in which Sister Lucia narrates the vision. The document was included in a biography of the religious sister, written by the sisters of her congregation based on her letters and on her spiritual diary, which is still unedited. Titled A Pathway Under the Gaze of Mary, the biography was published in 2013 by Carmelo de Coimbra, where Sister Lucia lived from 1948 until her death in 2005. The biography of Sister Lucia, written by the religious sisters of Carmelo de Coimbra, where she lived. But until now that almost 500-page book has not been widely spread, with no major publicity. Instead, the article by Antonio Socci, published last 17 August, allowed for the story of the vision to be made known to the current public and spread quickly onto social media. Background facts about the vision. The apparition spoken of by Lucia occurred at the beginning of the year 1944, when she was a nun in the convent of the Dorothean Sisters in Tuy, Galicia. 2 years before, in December of 1941, she had already written by order of her superior the first 2 parts of The Secret of Fatima, The Vision of Hell and the Warnings and Predictions of the Blessed Virgin Mary, but left pending the 3rd part. The Bishop of Leiria, the Diocese of Fatima, repeatedly urged Lucia to also write that 3rd secret, but since the Blessed Mother had commanded her to keep it confidential, Lucia refrained. Nevertheless, internally her perplexity was great, with the world being in the middle of the Second World War. Might not the time have arrived to write it? Lucia's story, step by step. In those circumstances, close to 4 in the afternoon on 3 January 1944, recounts Lucia, while I was praying in the convent chapel before the tabernacle, I asked Jesus to make known to me his will, and with my face in my hands I waited for some answer. I feel then that a friendly hand, affectionate and motherly, touches my shoulder. I look up and see the beloved Heavenly Mother. The Blessed Mother says to her, "Do not be afraid, God wished to test your obedience, faith and humility. Be at peace and write what they command you, but not that which is given to you to understand about its significance." She instructs Lucia to keep what she would write in a sealed envelope and to write on it that it can only be opened in 1960. Immediately, continues Lucia, I felt the Spirit flooded by a mystery of light that is God, and in him I saw and heard, the tip of the spear like a flame that emerges, touches the axis of the earth. The earth shakes, mountains, cities, towns and villages with their inhabitants are buried. The ocean, the rivers and the clouds exceed their limits, overflowing, inundating and dragging in a whirlwind, houses and people so great in number they cannot be counted. It is the purification of the world, because of the sin in which it is immersed. The hatred, the ambition provoke the destructive war. Afterwards I felt in the accelerated beating of my heart and in my spirit, a soft voice that said, in time, one faith, one baptism, one holy, Catholic and Apostolic Church in eternity, heaven. This word heaven filled my heart with peace and happiness, in such a way that, almost without realizing it, I kept repeating for a long time, heaven, heaven. Encouraged by these marvelous last words, Sister Lucia gathered the strength to write the third secret, just as the Blessed Mother had ordered her. As soon as the greater force of the spiritual had passed, I went to write and did it without difficulty. 3 January of 1944, kneeling resting on the bed that I used as a table. Hail Mary. So concludes the manuscript story of the vision. Obviously she only wrote what was revealed to her 13 July 1917, the third secret, omitting, as per the instructions she had just received from the Mother of God, any reference to this new apparition. How to interpret this vision? The extraordinary thing about this particular vision is that it comes accompanied by words that interpret it. And in that way, it complements and enhances the grandeur and seriousness of the message of Fatima itself. Apart from showing her ineffable goodness toward Sister Lucia, whom she comforts with her friendly, affectionate and motherly hand, and with expressions of appreciation for her obedience and of authorizing her to write the third secret, the Virgin Mary rewards her with this vision and makes her understand its significance, although she warns Sister Lucia that she should not add it to the official written communication. Sister Lucia could only write it in her personal diary. The image Lucia sees in God, the tip of the spear, like a flame that emerges, is notably similar to the sword of fire the angel holds in the vision of the third secret. And that flame, touching the Earth's axis, convulses nature in such a way that even cities, towns and villages are buried with their inhabitants. Something which at the same time coincides with the prediction of the message of Fatima: several nations will be annihilated if people do not heed the requests of the Blessed Virgin. To that awful scene is added the destructive war, which Lucia understands has two causes, hatred and ambition. The atrocious massacres of Christians in the Middle East at the hands of the ISIS Islamists and affiliates, that reveal a satanic hatred, we could almost say hatred in pure state, and the bloody Russian invasion of the Ukraine, in which territorial ambition becomes more notorious each time. Are they not already the first fruits of that calamity? It is worthy of note that parallel to the vision, it was given Lucia to understand that those catastrophes are caused by the sin that covers the earth, and have as their objective the purification of the world. After the purification comes a great universal triumph of the Church, represented by the voice that proclaims one faith, one baptism, one Church. All of this notably confirms the analyses and forecasts that Plinio Correa de Oliveira carried out over the decades about the directions of the international situation, warning that it could result in widespread chaos, before a great victory of the Church. Note also the consonance with the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary envisaged in Fatima, and with similar predictions of the Virgin Mary in apparitions likewise recognized by the Church, such as La Salette (1846), Akita (1973), and others. On the threshold of the outcome of Fatima? Sister Lucia, the seer of Fatima, was a Dorothean sister until her entry into the Carmelo of Coimbra in 1948. Beyond what Lucia's vision has as terrible and grandiose, it is worth noting its perfect fit as a key piece in the framework of the message of Fatima, that enthralling prophetic equation that is closer every time to being resolved, which it enriches with important details ignored until now. It is also very significant, the fact that the vision is made known only now, 70 years after it took place, when threatening hotbeds of violence explode everywhere, and even Pope Francis surprises the world by declaring that we have already entered into the Third World War. In truth, Lucia's description could not arrive at a more opportune moment. This context so convulsed allows for all to understand it without difficulty, and that is why it seems providential to us that it be revealed now. Its dissemination can help to understand the punishment that will come if people do not renounce impiety and corruption, and encourage them to make straight his paths, Mark chapter 1 verse 3, through the amendment of their life, to which the Blessed Virgin Mary urged them in Fatima. Thus they will become worthy to a special mercy of God, at the hour of a punishment that is each time more probable. And that could be the greatest benefit of the heavenly message, which should make all of us reflect.